All right, how you doing, everybody? Long time no see. Appreciate everybody's patience. I sometimes do have to get back to actual real life for a little while between videos, and I've been doing that. Thank you. Now, in case you didn't read the title of this video before you clicked on it, which I find highly unlikely, you're all smart people out there. This is not the next Bon Jovi album review video, which will be the circle when it happens, which won't be too long from now. And but this is not that video. I will definitely be shooting that video probably also today, because you'll see in that video if I do shoot it today, I have on the same clothes. Anyway, not what I'm here to, right now to talk about. I've been wanting to make this video for at least several weeks. Well, before I get into that, I hope everybody's been enjoying the Hanoi Rocks albums, that the album tracks that I just posted for their studio albums. I know some of you want me to get on with the Bon Jovi reviews so you can see the rest of those for some reason. Some of you want me to hurry up and finish those so we can get on to somebody else. And I will also do that. Some of you probably just are like, dude, there's still a live album from Hanoi Rocks. Get it up, hurry. I will be getting that album up as soon as I can, probably in the next couple of days, next week at the longest. We'll see. We'll see how life works out. I've got some stuff coming up that it's going to keep me kind of busy, but I will work on that. Anyway, what I'm here today to talk about is something that's got me honestly pretty riled up and aggravated, and has for a long time already. I haven't talked about it yet because I wasn't really sure what I could possibly add to the discussion. Um, But I, like most of you people, I'm sure I am on social media of a few different types. I spend most of my time on YouTube going down rabbit holes. And because to me, it's just endlessly fun and interesting. I am also on Facebook. I am no longer, actually, I think I still have a Twitter account. I signed up for it, God, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe, and haven't touched it since. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Don't have any interest in it. Don't give a shit. I don't want to follow other people. Fuck off. I just don't care. Most of it is just arguing anyway. I don't need to see NBA players, tell me what shape the earth is. I don't care. I just don't care. Anyway, I am on Facebook. Man, is there a lot of Motley Crue hate out there right now. It's everywhere that I can find to look. And that's what I'm here to talk about right now. So if you're not interested in hearing somebody complain about the complaining, this is not the video for you. I'm sorry if I wasted a few minutes of your time getting to this point. Please feel free to go. But for those of you who are maybe of a similar mind as me, I am here to talk about the whole Motley Crue hate fest that's going on, and about the whole mess with the Mick Mars situation, the lawsuit, the John 5 replacement of him, the recording of new Motley Crue material with John 5. And then also, I want to talk about this whole backing tracks. Tommy Lee is fake drumming. Nicky can't play his bass guitar. Vince can't sing, and all of that shit. And that's what I'm going to start with. Okay, so Not going to mess around. I don't plan to do a lot of editing of this video at all. I'm just going to lay it out there and post it. I don't want to waste time on this, but it is important to me, important enough that I need to talk about it on here and have it on record somewhere that this was my take because everybody else seems to have a different one and I don't like them. Okay, so um, first up, the whole backing track thing. I'm gonna I'm gonna let you know right now, down in the description below this video, I will be posting links to some other YouTube videos that I would encourage you very much to watch. There's one to a video with very famous producer Rick Beato, who has like millions of YouTube subscribers, has a great channel. If you've never watched any of his videos, man, are they fun and interesting. This guy is an actual, honest to God producer, has been for years. He's actually a really good musician himself, can play tons of instruments and very well. He goes into different specific songs and things. What makes this song great is one of my favorite kind of topics that he does, where he'll break down a song and just show you different parts that are in it that maybe you didn't even hear initially, and then you're like, "Holy crap! Well, the song really wouldn't be the same without that little thing that I didn't know was there." It's great stuff. But anyway, he did a video a while back. It is called "Is Performing with a Backing Track Cheating? My Opinion." And that's again Rick Beato, Beato. So like BEATO. And that video has got 792,000 views, plus whatever odd number, hasn't added up to 1,000 yet. So it's really interesting. He talks in that video about how producers are many times asked to produce backing tracks for tours for bands. And usually it's like a little orchestration because a band doesn't, it's just not practical to take an orchestra out on the road with you for a concert tour. I mean, how often would you expect that, right? I wouldn't. So they play that stuff behind. It's taped. It's not real. It's taped. It was real when they taped it. So it's still real musicianship. They're just not there in person. You know what I mean? Depends on how you look at this shit. Anyway, he talks about how they put that sort of thing together, and how I can't think of the name of the band right now. He talks about it in the video. There was a band. I can't think of. It's not somebody I'm into or have ever listened to that I remember. Anyway, there was some sort of controversy because they canceled a show because their laptops didn't show up in time for them to perform. So they had to cancel the show. The laptops were lost in transit somewhere. They didn't know where they were. They hadn't arrived yet. And the laptops have the programming for the entire show on them. Now, what I mean by that is not backing tracks as in Milli Vanilli kind of shit. Like these guys really play and sing, I assume. But when a band uses a backing track and a click track and all of that kind of stuff, the reason it works the way it does today, the reason people are getting caught with fake parts and fake background stuff is because shows are so much more complex than they used to be. In the 70s and 80s, and before that, of course, a band would show up, they would have their road crew set up their instruments, there would be a big light bank up above them, and there would be a guy out by the soundboard who controlled the lights and shit like that, or a couple of guys, or several guys, or whatever, and who pushed the buttons for the flash pots and all the other explosions, the flamethrowers and shit to go off on time. That was manually done. But as time has gone on, in case you don't know this already, I have no way of knowing. Um, this is all kind of automated now. It's all computer driven and controlled. Well, if you've ever wondered, like with an orchestration backing track, how does that work? How do they, like, I know there's not, I don't see an orchestra on the stage or below in the pit or anything like that. So where's that music coming from, and how is it perfect with where the band is in the song when it's supposed to play? How does it know when to come in? I mean, you can't push play and just expect it to match up with the band if there's no coordination between the two, right? So there is coordination between the two. I'm just trying to explain this to you like you're a 5-year-old, okay? Um, some of you won't need that. Some of you maybe will. Some of you will maybe just appreciate it because nobody's really done it, at least that I've seen. Anyway, so what happens is the whole show is programmed out beat by beat. There's no choice. That's how you have to do that to make tapes work. But it's not just the tapes of the orchestration or the backing vocals to make it sound better or whatever. And I think most of us know with backing vocals, usually there's like one, maybe two guys in a band who can really sing live. And the rest of them, they do the best they can, you know, and usually it sounds like somebody doing the best they can. Unless you go to a Def Leppard concert, in which case it's like, or back in the days I was going to Def Leppard concerts anyway, and you were just like, oh my God, these guys can sing. But they didn't have that stuff in the mid 80s. You couldn't fake it then. These guys were singing that shit. As far as I know, they still do. Anyway, I'm sure we'll have a video about that being fake soon too. Who knows? Where was I? Okay, so to coordinate all this stuff together, everything has to be timed out absolutely flawlessly. The only way you can do that is to have that timing built into the program that the computers hold and allow the band to hear that, which is a click track. That's what that is. A click track is just a steady measure of beats, like a metronome type thing, if you know what that is, or like the clicking of a clock that's in perfect time. Tick tock, tick tock, tick. That's what it is. So, to my mind, and I'm no expert, I've never been on a major world tour or anything like that. I've never produced an album. I've never recorded an album in a studio with a producer. I never had a record deal. I mean, I'm just a fan, a slightly educated fan, maybe, I guess you could say. But I'm not trying to tell you I'm an expert. I do have some knowledge, though. So the way it works, they have to be able to. I think all this kind of came into being when bands for live performances switched from floor monitors, which sat on the stage and were just basically speakers that pointed up at them directly, not at the crowd, so the band can hear each other and what's happening. But you could also pick those up, you know, in the first several rows and maybe occasionally in the microphones, though hopefully you were using good enough microphones that wasn't the case. Anyway, When bands switched from using those to the in-ear monitors, which you can see musicians and singers wearing in any live performance you see now, that's when all of this became possible. Because for, for the guys to hear the click tracks, the audience didn't have to be hearing it. They didn't have to be able to have access to that. The click track was just like a constant thing that would change up between one song and the next. For the band, it was all timed out. There was either somebody was starting it with like a button on a keyboard on the stage. Usually the drummer would do that, as you'll hear. I believe it's Rick Beato, and maybe also the other one of the other videos I have ready for you, which is Justin Hawkins, talking in a video he calls "Was Tommy Lee Caught Faking It?" And I think you'll hear them both comment that usually, like, a drummer used to have a keyboard next to his drum kit. He would reach over and press the button when the band was ready for the click track for the next song to start. Okay, so once the click track starts, everybody knows, in theory, everybody knows when to start the song. If it's a song that starts off with just the drum beat first, and then everybody else comes in, well, that's easy enough, right? If it's a song that starts off with a guitar riff, well, the guitarist, the drummer, the bass player, the singer, they've all got that click track in their ear. You get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then either the drummer starts playing or the guitarist starts playing, or, bass player or whatever. The point being, that click track is also telling the computer when to start changing the lights, when to start blowing up shit, whatever, when to start playing the orchestration track. It's perfectly timed out, so it'll be in the right spot in the song. This is all really important to a live show anytime after the 80s, or certainly after the 90s, and maybe a little bit during the 80s. I mean, this shit was going on. There were backing tracks decades ago. But it's all been, kind of a development in how it's done. Well, all of this I'm saying to get to the point. The point of it is, the video you have probably seen, or at least seen mentioned, the video that's got Tommy Lee fake drumming, is not fake drumming at all. In fact, you have absolute proof that it's not fake drumming, because the problem is that Tommy Lee has the 4 broken ribs. It's during that time, and he has a hard time. Usually, the guy's pretty limber and pretty fast running around the stage. He's got to get off the drum set to do the piano for Home Sweet Home, or to, on this last tour, to get up and do his speech. What the fuck the point of that was, I will never understand. Sit behind the drums, Tommy. God, I miss the days when the dude was just a really great drummer. I really do. But anyway, he's up running around now all over the stage because Tommy Lee really wants to be the front man. And he gets caught not getting back to the drums on time for the click track because he's a little slowed down, I imagine. And there's also a drum tech up with the drum set working on something while Tommy's off. Well, he has to wait for that damn drum tech or whoever to get out of the way so he can run back up there and jump on the throne. Well, by the time he gets there, you've already heard the 4 count on the hi-hat. And you're like, well, that's weird. Why is it a 4 count? I thought it was a click track that went. But at this point, the technology's simply gotten to the point where bands can have any sound they want be each one of those clicks. Tommy Lee and Motley Crue chose a hi-hat. Um, Probably, I mean, to put it simply, because a hi-hat is something you would hear. It's how the drummer normally would have counted the song in back in the 70s or 80s or 60s or whenever you want to, the 90s, whatever. Or they could do the stick thing, which I think is personally better because it's more audible. It's easier to pick out if you're hearing a bunch of other sounds around you. Okay, so anyway, for whatever reason, Motley Crue chose a hi-hat sound. Now, that hi-hat sound, the track they're playing when Tommy Lee's faking it is Looks That Kill. Looks That Kill just boom, everybody comes in all on the same beat. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, bum 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 bum, right? So everybody has to hear that and has to know that's when you come in. Now, sometimes on a big tour stage, musicians would complain because they couldn't hear, like they'd hear a click, but they wouldn't know for sure. Shit, was that one? Was that three? Was that four? Where am I? And you just have to guess and like turn around and look to see what everybody else was doing, right? So you could totally mess up a song like that. The point being, it's not fake drumming. It's not fake drumming at all. The 4 count on the hi-hat for Looks That Kill, I mean, you've got a choice from there. Everybody's got to be able to hear it. And then you can either, as a drummer, you can have everybody hearing the and then you can do it again. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. As long as you've got it programmed to be that way, you're good. You're golden. The lights will be perfect. The explosions will be at the right time. The guitarist and the bassist will know when to come in with you because there's not a delay. You've got to do it on the same exact moment. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what you hear in that video. It's not a drum track. Tommy Lee did not sit in a room somewhere and record the drums so that he doesn't really have to play them live. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen a bunch of people get together on in my life. It's just complete stupidity. It doesn't work that way. Watch the track. After the 4 count on the hi-hat that Tommy doesn't play because he's trying to run up and get on the stool, he does come in late. The drumming that you hear is off time with everything else, telling you visually, you can look at him. It's exactly live. That's precisely what it is. There's nothing fake about it. He comes in late because he's trying to get sat down and get his feet in the right spot and everything. And he comes in late. His tempo is a little off, so he catches it up. He has to adjust his tempo and catch up with what Mick's doing on his guitar. So, I mean, saying it's fake is the most ridiculous thing. And I've seen a ton. I just found another one right before I started taping this. A ton of people like me who do YouTube videos about music and stuff. And their videos are called shit like, oh, fake drumming, Tommy Lee caught. And, that's what you call clickbait. And then during their video, they were like, well, no, he's not really faking it. He's not faking it at all. But they give you that headline to get you to watch their stupid video. That's as much of a lie as faking what you're playing on a stage. You're deceiving people to get them to be there at your show and think it was more important than it really was. That's what you're doing. You people on YouTube who are doing this are fake too. Tommy Lee, Motley Crue's not faking anything. Nothing. Vince is definitely really singing. Now, I'll be perfectly honest. There have been live Motley Crue shows I have seen. The Carnival of Sins tour, DVD, Blu-ray, you can buy it on Amazon Prime now to watch or rent it or whatever. I love watching that show because it sounds great. Vince's vocals are awesome on that show. But when I watch all of the other ones, like Lewd, Crude, and Tattooed, or if I even go back all the way to the '83 US Festival, I can't listen to those shows. They sound fairly awful at times. So, I mean, I have no evidence, no proof, but I've always questioned just how live Vince's vocals were on the Carnival of Sins tour, or at least on that show that they recorded, because they just sound a little too good to be true, honestly. Now, if they are, I apologize to the guys, and I will gladly take it back. Please feel free to chime in, Nikki. Comment on this video if you ever see it and tell me I'm wrong and it was totally legit. I will take you at your word, and I will go back and rewatch and enjoy again and not worry about that. But it's hard not to question everything you see now. It really is. But that doesn't excuse all the bullshit to me. You people need to stop spreading this stuff unless you know for a fact that you are correct, and you don't, because you're not, especially in this case. But I mean, you think everything, oh, I've got proof. And I mean, unless you hear the actual kick drum and snare and the toms and the cymbals and everything, and Tommy's standing out in the front of the stage with his stupid head mic telling you some dumb story about how he hurt himself, and I mean, just shut up, please. Okay. Now, next, I want to just say, when did everybody start hating Motley Crue? When and why? What is wrong with you people? Believe me, I know people who have hated Motley Crue every day they knew they existed. I had a cousin who got me into Kiss, and he despised Motley Crue. Why? Honestly, I think it was just because his sister absolutely freaked out when they came out and never stopped talking about them or listening to them or putting up posters and pictures on her wall and stuff like that. It was all she talked about. And they had MTV. MTV had just come out, and they were like, wow. And she was always like, all day she was on there, oh, Motley Crue, crank it up. And he was just like, okay. And I know there's other people out there like that. You're just sick of hearing the rest of us talk about Motley Crue. But I mean, I can't get on Facebook, and I won't, like I said, I don't even look at Twitter. But if I did, I know that would be the case there too. I literally cannot get on Facebook one time in a day without seeing, oh, Motley Crue this and fake that, and they suck, and and right now, just a couple of days ago, I saw the great picture of Vince Neil and Michael Monroe from Hanoi Rocks standing talking to each other, and then Michael and Nikki Sixx together, and the Vince and Michael Monroe thing. John Five's in the foreground, like he looks so excited. They never met. I don't know how that could have possibly happen. But apparently, that was the very first time Vince and Michael Monroe ever met in person. I, that surprised me to hear that. But anyway, apparently they said hi. You can see in the photos that Vince is wearing his stage pants. Looks like they're either getting ready to go on stage or just came off. Or I got to look at the photo again. I can't remember how messy his hair is or whatever. Looks like they're getting ready to go on stage, and he's standing like on pavement or something, face to face with Michael Monroe, and Vince has got a big smile on his face. And I mean, that's a really big, important moment for both of those guys, don't you think? And I've seen the most despicable, hateful comments all over Facebook posts by rock journalists who've shared that picture. And the comments are just disgusting. Now, I understand Vince should not have been driving that car. Nobody should be driving intoxicated. And I will agree with that all day, every day. But guys and gals, that was 1985. 85. It's almost 40 years now. And these guys probably both need this moment. I mean, let them have it. To just, I don't know what was said there. I mean, none of us do. I don't know if they're just like, I don't think there was any big, I forgive you, Hallmark movie moment or anything like that, but it was at least like, I don't hate you, man. I've never hated you. I mean, if you think about this, people, and I understand there were two other people injured in that crash who now have brain damage for the rest of their lives because of it. And that is also despicable and disgusting. And should Vince have served more jail time for that? Yeah, I'm sure he should have. I'm sure he should have. I wasn't the judge in that case, so don't curse me for supporting the guy 40 years later in hopefully finding some kind of healing. But I just like, that's not the only topic that all the hate comes spewing forth about. It's not because that just happened. But this has been going on for months, and well, basically since Motley came back and started up their tour with Def Leppard a year ago. And people just seem furious about it. Now, at least they did hang it up for a while when they said they were going to. They didn't stick to their contract they signed. And like tons of people, out in YouTube world, Dr. Fuck and everybody else have called them out for that. And I mean, I can't say you're wrong, but let's talk a little more. Maybe you have, maybe I just haven't seen all your fucking videos, but Kiss did a farewell tour and didn't farewell at all, basically. They hung it up with Ace and Peter like 2001-ish, I think it was, 2002 maybe. And then they were filming that video with the orchestra in 2003. And A couple of years later, they're right back with Tommy and Eric and haven't stopped since. And now it's the big Kiss end of the road tour. And well, I mean, that was really, you know, the tour after Psycho Circus. That was the end of the Kisses road. But I guess only for some of us. So I mean, if it's okay for some of us to feel that way, but everybody else to keep buying those fucking tickets and going to those shows, why is everybody so mad about Motley Crue? Because they came back intact as the original group. Why is that making everybody so fucking mad? What the hell? I don't understand that. Like, why do we all hate Nikki Sixx now? Why is that? And apparently have for years. What did Nikki Sixx do to you people? I don't get it. I really don't. I just don't get it. Nikki Sixx was my idol all the way through the 80s. Warren DeMartini as a guitarist, Randy Rhoads, Nikki Sixx, all these guys, Paul Stanley, of course. I mean, now everybody hates Nikki Sixx. Did you forget some of those songs this guy's written? Are you kidding me? And I'm sorry, but hate all you want. Motley Crue, there is no denying it. None. Motley Crue was absolutely the band of the 80s. Everybody's all, oh God, I wish it was still the 80s. The 80s, man, those 80s hard rock bands and metal bands, that was the best. And Motley Crue was the top of that heap by miles. Miles. Every band that played in the 80s in some way or another followed Motley Crue's lead. And if you don't believe that, or you don't remember it that way, you weren't paying enough attention. Now, obviously, some of you are going to be pissed off about all of this stuff I'm saying because you disagree, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing. But before you spew hate at me in the comments below this video, I want you to keep that in mind. I am simply providing an alternate voice to all the other voices out there right now. Every voice I'm seeing right now is hating these guys for really no good reason, but anything that just comes up, they're going to pile on, whether it's true or not. And I'm saying my piece in opposition to that. And that's all I'm doing. I'm not telling you how to feel. So don't get in here and tell me how stupid I am and only a poser could like Motley Crue and blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Go hang out with your grandparents or something. All right. Next and last, the whole Mick Mars situation, the lawsuit, John 5 being his replacement, them recording new material. Okay, first of all, I love Mick Mars. I wish Mick Mars was still in Motley Crue. I wish Mick Mars and Motley Crue could tour for another 5 or 10 years or more, honestly. Even though I get on here and make jokes myself all the time about, look, these people are the age of my grandparents in the 80s. And I don't remember anybody expecting my grandparents to go out and play concerts. You know what I mean? Let alone a whole tour. So why would you expect that? Oh, okay. So anyway, I've done that rant before. I'll probably do it again. But here's the deal. I can only imagine what actually went down between Mick Mars and Motley Crue. I'm assuming that what that was they agreed that Like Mick said, look, I'm going to retire from touring. That's what we heard. I'm going to retire from touring. And I think probably either Mick was told or Mick assumed that if there were more songs to be recorded in a studio, he would be a part of that. Now, the fact that he's obviously not, that part I don't like. I don't like it at all because I get the feeling Mick was lied to. Or he was told one thing and then minds were changed because for some reason. I don't know what that reason would be. I don't know what would make those guys do that. Uh, Motley Crue absolutely would not have been Motley Crue and would not have been what they were at any point in the band's history without Mick Mars. That is the simple truth of it. At the same time, Mick suing the band because he wants more money in retirement doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm just being honest. I I mean, as far as I can tell from everything I've read about this, everything that's been said, Mick got a quarter of the band's royalties like everybody else did all these years. Now, I don't know about songwriting royalties. If Nikki got a bigger part of that because Nikki was in on the writing of every single song and wrote several of them by himself, that's probably a justified thing that I wouldn't disagree with. I'd prefer that they all split those royalties equally because it makes a band more of a band and there's less jealousy and less apt to be fighting and breaking up and petty grievances and stuff. But I mean, hey, that depends on what those guys agreed to from the start. Anyway, I hate the thought of Mick believing one thing and then finding out something else was happening. Maybe I would imagine when Mick said, I'm going to retire from touring, he thought that was it for the band, at least as a touring entity, and that they would pull a Beatles in the late 60s and just maybe record some new songs for stuff for movies or soundtracks or even release an album without going on a tour in support of it because you can do that. You can actually do that. And Motley Crue is one of the bands who could pull that off because they do still sell albums more often than not. Anyway, Mick suing the band because he wants 25% instead of 5%. That I'm sorry, Mick. I love you, brother. I really do. And thank you so much for everything you did for me as a teen when I was growing up. But that's ridiculous. It really, truly is ridiculous. You can't tell John Five, I think it's great. Good luck with the band. When John joined the band, watch the Eddie Trunk and John Five interview video. I will put it on here in the description so you can go straight to that too if you need to, if you haven't already seen it. Mick and John Five talked after John was announced as the band's new guitarist, apparently. Maybe Mick thought John Five was just going to tour with the band and that would have been fine because, I mean, Mick doesn't belong on the road anymore. The poor guy. I can't believe how long he's lasted touring. It's amazing. But you can't ask for 25% of a band when you know there's a fifth member now coming in. I mean, they're supposed to just get 0%, or the other guys who are still going out on tour, playing all those shows and living in all those hotels and shit, They're supposed to go down to, 20%, 15%, or something like that, so you can keep getting your full cut. What band is going to do that? Nobody. And I mean, if Mick wins or loses this lawsuit, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about that stuff, but he's not going to win based on that. There's no way a judge is going to say, well, he he officially retired from touring, but everything you guys get paid while touring, he gets a fourth of, even though there's another fourth coming into the band now. Nobody's going to award that. Nobody. I guarantee it. Mick will lose that part of the lawsuit. I don't have anything against Mick. I don't want him to lose anything. I just want him to like still be in the band and it still be healthy, and it still be the late 80s or the early 90s, and they give us more better albums then. Yeah, not going to get that. As far as John Five being a part of the band, I don't care. If the band is going to keep going without Mick, John Five's as good as anybody else. He's not dressing up like Mick, is he? It's not Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer dressing like Ace and Peter. So I don't care. He's John Five in Motley Crue, just like Tommy and Eric should have been in Kiss. No makeup anymore. Just be part of the band like Bruce and Eric were, or Bruce and Eric Carr, and don't pretend you're a different person because it'll make the band more money. And that's what Paul and Gene believe. So that's what they ordered you to do. And if you want to be part of the band, that's what you have to do, or they won't pay you to be in the band. Fuck off, right? That's the Kiss philosophy. At least Motley Crue's letting John Five be John Five. So what? Why am I going to bitch about that? Am I going to miss Mick? Yeah, but Mick had to quit for health reasons, for God's sake. Get over it. It's what's best for Mick. Now, should he still get paid? Absolutely, he should still get paid, but not 25%. Be realistic. Okay, and then final thing I'm going to talk about here, and then I'll shut the hell up. The recording of new Motley Crue songs with John Five and Vince Neil and Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx. Amen. Bring it on. I can't wait to buy that shit. I can't wait. And if that pisses some of you off, well, I can't help that. I'm sorry, but I want to hear it. I've heard multiple accounts already, specifically from John Five, too. It's the heaviest thing Motley Crue has ever done. And they've got like a half dozen tracks or so. And me personally, John said he didn't know what they were going to do with them yet, like soundtrack or um, singles, because everybody's just doing stupid internet bullshit streaming singles now. I want an album. I want a full album. Give us some more, guys. And if you don't like me saying that, well, that's your opinion too. That's fine, but that's what I'm saying. If we have to break up, I'm keeping the cat. All right. So anyway, I just don't know. I don't know what anybody wants right now. What the hell? Why is Motley Crue the band everybody's picking on? And I know, oh, Vince is old and fat, and Vince can't sing, and Nikki was never a good bass player, and Tommy's a dick. And I mean, how long do you want to hold on to this? Do you need therapy? I mean, I can dress up and be Hard Rock Therapist again if you need me to.
Yes, welcome. It's very nice to meet you. Uh, Please come in, have a seat.
I'll be glad to come back in here and do that for you guys. If I could ever figure out how to do like a live stream, we could have it out. We could just yell at each other and shit. I don't care. But for God's sake, everybody, and maybe it's not any of the people who watch this channel. I hope it's not, because that would really disappoint me. But if anybody else out there sees this and you're one of the haters, go yourself. Please, for all of us. That'd be great. Thanks. Bye.